wow. It's very rare that I'm sort of lost for words when leaving a Doctor Who episode, but genuinely, that's gotta be one of the most sort of, I don't know, thought-provoking, I don't know if that's the right turn of phrase. That was not what I was expecting when going into this story at all. Hello YouTube and people of the interwebs, welcome back to another Doctor Who review video. This week I'm reviewing the latest episode of Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble, which I assumed going in would be relatively light-hearted, quite upbeat, and wow, did I not expect that plot twist at the end. But we'll discuss the end at the end of the video because I need to sort of process more thoughts. I haven't really had time to sort of check Twitter or see a general consensus, but I'm going to assume it's a relatively controversial episode, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how it's gone down. But we'll discuss the start of the episode. So I think it begun quite nicely. People, including myself, were kind of worried, is it going to be a little bit boomery, like, and I don't mean that in an offensive way, of course, I just mean like, is the social commentary going to end up being a little bit like at the end of Orphan 55, where the Doctor just speaks to the audience and it doesn't quite hit? Like, there's good ideas in there, but luckily those worries were, I thought overall the social commentary worked really, really nicely. There were a lot of very, very intricate and important things said or thought about or left, or that you could leave the episode thinking about. I think that's what this episode does incredibly well. It does leave you thinking. There were a couple of maybe cringy dialogue moments or little bits and bobs where people, like young people, wouldn't actually say some of this stuff. But overall, I thought it was very Black Mirror-esque, and the plotline worked well. It got off to a nice start. I thought the introduction to the character of Lindsay Pepperbean, it was a character which obviously you go on a very big journey with. At the start, you think, oh, she's a little bit annoying, and then in the middle, it's kind of like, oh, I do hope she succeeds, I hope that the Doctor and Ruby can help her, let's get her out of there, hopefully she grows into a nicer character when she faces challenges, but then she gets confronted with a challenge, and near-death experience, and chooses to effectively kill this guy that we've grown to like, and then you think, oh, well, she's a bit of an arsehole. And then you get the ending, which makes her the full-on villain. I thought it's a very interesting... I know I said I was going to go at the start, but this is the main takeaway from the episode. I think it's fascinating that you almost start... She is kind of the protagonist at the start, but by the end, she is so clearly the villain of the story. And I think that's a sort of fascinating Black Mirror-esque twist to put on it, because there are episodes of Black Mirror where you're sort of following this guy, and by the end you're like, oh my god, that guy was not the protagonist. But the commentary itself, I thought, it's a really nice metaphor, literally and metaphorically being in a bubble. I think there's also themes going on there, if you dig a little bit under the surface, of almost like being in an echo chamber and constantly hearing the same sort of upbeat, happy, positive thing. I mean, for God's sake, the place is called Fine Time, where it's fine all the time. It's like, if you're forced into that echo chamber, you get results like you see at the end of this episode. Like, the online algorithms, almost. I don't know whether I'm looking too deeply into this, but, like, online algorithms sort of prioritise and push this content towards people in echo chambers, and that can result to a whole range of horrible political things being embedded in people's minds. The clearest bit of social commentary to see is this idea of, right at the start of the episode, the Doctor pops up and says literally like, there are problems in the real world which need solving, and he just gets blocked, swiped away. And I think that's a very prevalent thing. Like, you go on Instagram, or TikTok's a prime example of this, and you've got one post which is people begging for help in the real world who do need help, and then you can just swipe away and you're greeted with like a gif or a meme. I sound like a out of touch person, but do you know what I mean? Like you can go from one extreme to the other with just a swipe. And I thought that was a really interesting bit of social commentary to play on. Like, there are problems in the real world which you just sort of block out by listening to catchy tunes, and then everyone's dancing to the catchy tunes. And yeah, it was very, I think, kind of TikTok inspired commentary. I know Russell said this idea did stem from, I think, 2011, and it's like Twitter in real life. But yeah, I thought the sort of blocking out real world issues with silly dancing and music, that's very TikTok. I thought maybe the sort of bit where it's implied like, oh, we're the younger generation, we only work 2 hours and we're tired. I mean, that initially when I heard it made me cringe a little bit, and kind of like I can see that's the perception of certain people on that entire younger generation. But then later on it was more established that that's sort of more a commentary on aristocratic children, maybe not aristocrats, but like really rich children who don't have to work for much. And I thought that's a nicer way of looking at it. I'm trying to word all my points correctly because obviously these are heavy subject matters. I don't want to word my points incorrectly. I did think that I think it's basically the way that the white supremacy of Fine Time was set up was really well done, because at the start of the episode, you don't really notice it. You kind of go, well, they're all white, and especially when like the love interest Ricky comes in, and like they kind of look like siblings. They're both blonde hair, blue eyes, and it kind of makes you go, oh, there's something going on here. And just the little like microaggressions from the protagonist when she's like immediately just swipes away from the doctor. At the start you think, oh, okay, well, it's probably not what it looks like. That's probably just coincidence. And then when she has a line about like, oh, you looked the same as the other guy, which I was like, surely that doesn't mean what I think it means. And then you get the line like, oh, he's not as stupid as he looks. And there's so many little hints, and I'm sure watching back as well, there's going to be a load of stuff that just went over my head, but like, it's really well set up, because I think you're kind of, well, at least I was, and my housemates were as well, we were like, surely she doesn't mean in that context. And then the story moves on. And it isn't until the end that it really hits you that this entire society was just full of racists. Like, it's a wild reveal. I think the bug creatures were a little bit cheap, maybe. I mean, they weren't terrible, but they were very Doctor Who, and take that as a compliment, because as you can see, I love Doctor Who. But yeah, as I say, the overall mystery of the story, that panned out really nicely, and figuring out the alphabetical stuff, like, I don't quite get why they were killing them in alphabetical order. Maybe that was just the way that the algorithm had sort of demanded it to be, but yeah, overall, cool story. And we got more from Susan Twist as well, and the Doctor and Ruby both directly acknowledged, like, meeting her before. Like, it's not a secret anymore, and I'm sure this is going to come up either in Rogue or 100% the finale. I mean, I've got a whole video on that, so go and check that out. I thought Ricky September was a really good character as well. Like, you did feel for him, and he had a small role, but I was engaged with him as a character, and it is kind of mad how he gets killed off. Like, that was, as I say, that's the moment where you go, oh, Lindsay she's not a good person. Like, you thought she was a bit bratty, but she's properly horrible. And then just, she walks out, and then you get, I genuinely haven't been this, like, almost sucked in and captivated by an episode of Doctor Who in ages. I was in disbelief. I was audibly going, no. Like, what? Like, it's such a shocking and impactful ending. And almost, like, it did leave me thinking afterwards, my refusal to sort of believe that that's actually the direction the story was taking, because, like, surely it can't be. But the fact that it actually did, and as well they talk about in Unleashed the fact that Ncuti, that like, I've only watched Unleashed once, and I've only seen the episode once, so I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that was the first thing he filmed as the Doctor, obviously after the giggle, because he did that in the summer. But, like, what a performance from Ncuti Gatwa. Like, genuinely, I think that's got to be up there with some of the best sort of Doctor moments. Like, as I say, I'm struggling to verbalise it. I was sat on the edge of my seat going, what? And just his reaction, and when he screams and when he laughs, you get the full range, and it all feels so doctory. And I think as well, it's a testament to the Doctor's character, like that he's still going, no, I can help you. And Ncuti plays it so well. It's so perfectly done. And the emotion of the scene is so raw, and it feels so real. And Ruby's reaction as well, Ruby crying, just adds to the whole thing. It was wild. But yeah, as I say, I haven't seen the online discourse yet, but it did leave me stunned. I was genuinely shocked that this was an avenue they went down, and I don't fully, I don't know, I need time to process this episode, but overall, I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed the social commentary. I thought it was a really, really funky idea, and it's some of the most captivating, thought-provoking Doctor Who that we've had in a very, very long time. So overall, I think I'm going to give the episode a solid 7 out of 10. It's far from a perfect episode, but the ending is just such an impactful moment. And Ncuti's performance, it just genuinely brilliant. And Lindsay on the boat going away, it's so, the Doctor's so helpless, and so just, the look on her face is so, bitchy, and it's so uncomfortable, and I think that's got to be the intent, and they absolutely succeeded. So yeah, a solid 7 out of 10 for this episode. Really enjoyed it, really nice stuff, and I hope that Doctor Who does more in that vein of social commentary and exploring ideas. And I hope to see more of Ncuti Gatwa for many years to come. His performance was brilliant. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please do remember to like, comment, subscribe and share. You know the drill. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.